everyone, welcome to the Buyer's Academy and step 2 of the buying process. Step 2 is the match step. It's really a phase, right? The goal is to go out and then find that practice that works for you. Really the ideal one, or one that, almost ideal, but checks most of those boxes and everything else to allow you that growth and to meet your goals that you set in step 1 in that discovery mode. So in match phase or step, what we're really looking at is, are you an active or a passive buyer? And I'll talk about that a little bit more. The other is where and how to search for sellers. You're here, you're searching for sellers, but we'll also talk a little bit about in this phase, it's where do you search and how do you search. And then the third is engaging in those preliminary discussions. Just some things to know, because this is really the phase that once you do find it and you're connected, you're starting to have some of those connections with sellers, and there's a lot of deal killers that you could, avoid or handle in certain ways that you definitely want to know about. First, are you an active or are you a passive buyer? There's two ways in our marketplace, and then really any marketplace for buying and selling law firms, that you can be in or approach it. One, you can be very active, which means you are outreaching. You are trying to find sellers through that process or anything else. Or you can sit there and you can keep an eye on different listings. You can come here to the Law Practice Exchange and see as new things come on board and everything else. We work with two types of buyers. We work with those that retain us to go find the ideal sellers, right? So we actively are their search arm, and we go out there and locate and contact and have confidential communications with targets and ideal criteria type firms. Not all of them are going to be fits, but our goal is to be an active, ongoing kind of search arm, where if that's one of your goals in this year is to acquire for growth, we can help you do so. The other is really to be passive. And passive's a great way if it's something you're intrigued on, it's something you want to do, but it's not such a high priority. Maybe you're taking care of a few things and getting your house in order, but you're keeping an eye on the market. And that's perfect, because again, you can keep an eye on this marketplace, other opportunities that come to you. You still want to go through and get prepared, do the things that you can do, but it allows you to kind of, be ready when you're ready. As we talked about, the next step is where and how to really search for sellers. So I know you're here at the lawpracticeexchange.com, the marketplace. We believe in that. We are creating this marketplace for buying and selling law firms. Overall, it's a great place to be, but if you also want to look for other places, mind your network, right? There's good attorneys that you've maybe worked with. They've been on the other side of the table in a litigation matter or transactional or otherwise. Look at that network and see if there's potential sellers that you may want to reach out to or contact. The other is, of course, different associations, whether they're legal associations, community associations that other lawyers are in, anything from that side. Also, one of the big things that is a great resource for us is the legal insurers, the malpractice insurers. A lot of them know the age and they're contacted by a lot of attorneys looking to exit or looking to retire. A lot of those legal insurers send them to us to help them, but overall it's a great place for you to go call your insurer and say, look, I'm looking to do this and expand if you run across anybody. Same thing with the state bar, the bar association, anything else. Transition is a good thing. Succession is a good thing. So you can be there to help be that successor or that transition partner for them. And so overall, you can look at that. Or as we talked about, you can be here in this marketplace. You can work with us as a broker to actively search, to actively provide those. And our goal is not just to be a search and connect, but be a resource on the process, on the steps and details through the process and everything else. Again, that's when you're ready to go, you're motivated to go, and you want to make that active, search criteria to make it happen this year or soon. That's when working with the broker directly to do that makes a lot of sense. And then the third piece of this match type phase is really engaging in discussions with sellers. If we find one, if you find one and we match, just some things to remember. One, it's emotional. Less for you probably as the buyer, more so for the seller, because they're looking at exit, retirement, what they built and what they're going to shift over. But overall, it's emotional because sometimes they see themselves as this is the path to no longer being a lawyer after 30, 40 plus years. And as part of that, you just have to remember to approach it as with that legacy in mind, right? There's different ways to run businesses, right? Everything else, they may not have been running theirs the way you would run it, but remember, they're very usually proud of what they've built. They're also going into a new phase in life or anything else as part of this, and that's just that emotional. So sometimes I just coach that because when responses come back on inflated purchase prices, other things, if you're out there dealing with potential sellers on your own, a lot of it's emotion. It's not personal. It's really just that emotion tied to that legacy and what's going to come next. The other aspect is everything's confidential. Remember that, right? You're working with us, you'll sign an NDA, probably already have, as you've come through our process, a non-disclosure agreement. But if you go out and you're pursuing on your own or anything else, overall, keep it confidential. I highly suggest signing a mutual confidentiality or non-disclosure agreement, with a seller or anything else that you would do, just to kind of maintain that. You can bring in advisors like CPAs, other advisors that you would need, but you have to keep it confidential from that side. So overall, remember, emotions, confidential. The other part of it really is, price and structure. It really is going to be where deals move forward or they don't. It's a key part of what we do. We value every firm that comes through our brokerage, right? We create price and structure terms, we test them, we stress test them. We go through that to look at transition-based sales and how it can happen. And then we're there to help our buyers and sellers if, right, the terms change or need to change because of what you, the buyer, needs it to be or anything else. Price and terms, right, matter. And that's where, again, having help, really going through it and making sure those work are going to help you in the match phase to get it done. Thanks so much. Talk to you in the next step.